The gentleman from California, Mr. Schiff, is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Master Zeldin, you've only been at the EPA for a few months, but in that time, you've done more to dismantle this agency than probably all of your predecessors put together. That may be a source of pride for you, but it is not for the American people. You've unlawfully terminated grants without justification. You've fired and pushed out some of the best scientists who inform EPA's decision-making. You refuse to spend money that Congress has appropriated to the EPA by law. And you've launched a pro-polluter effort to delete dozens of environmental protections.
Hey, folks. Welcome back to America Patriots, the channel where we talk common sense, defend freedom, and occasionally sip coffee so strong it could strip the paint off a battleship. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smack that like button like it just raised your taxes, and drop a comment down below. It helps the algorithm. It annoys the right people, and it keeps this channel rolling like a bald eagle on roller skates. All right, let's talk about this video I just watched. And wow, Representative Adam Schiff is out here delivering a speech so dramatic, I thought for a second I'd accidentally change the channel to a soap opera. If he had a fainting couch behind him, he would have used it.
On top of all this, you've launched an effort to overturn California's Clean Air Act waivers that improve the quality of air breathed by 40 million Californians and by millions more in other states who have adopted California's high standards. That effort, for which my colleagues have decided to eliminate the filibuster to achieve, is not exactly what anyone would call cooperative federalism. But it's your budget that's the ultimate proof of your priorities. You propose cutting America's environmental agency by 55%, meaning that in your view and that of President Trump, more than half of the environmental efforts of the EPA, more than half of the efforts to make sure Americans have clean air and clean water are just a waste. They're just a waste. Meaning that Californians and people all over the country, when they breathe the air, thanks to your good work, it'll mean there's more diesel and more other particulate matter in the air. When they drink a glass of water, they may not be able to see it, but this water that Americans drink is going to have more chemicals like PFAS, forever chemicals in their water. This will be your good work. I want to be very specific about the legacy you're going to leave if you're successful in eliminating half of our efforts to clean our water and our air. Your legacy will be more lung cancer. It'll be more bladder cancer. It'll be more head and neck cancer. It'll be more breast cancer. It'll be more leukemia and pancreatic cancer, more liver cancer, more skin cancer, more kidney cancer, more testicular cancer, more colorectal cancer, more rare cancers of innumerable varieties. That will be your legacy. I don't know that that's a legacy that anyone should want to have. My kids are going to be breathing that air just like yours. My family's going to be drinking the water just like yours. We may not be able to pinpoint just who gets cancer because you've done away with half the budget of those looking out for our clean water and clean air. But it's going to be somebody's kids, it's going to be somebody's family. To put this in more specific terms, there are 22 grants frozen by the EPA focused on improving health and reducing pollution, many of which directly impact children. For example, one project in Santa Ana, California, provided funding to help detect and prevent lead poisoning in children. According to the census, about 10% of the population in Santa Ana are under the age of 9. With a population of about 310,000 people, that means that 31,000 children are at risk of lead poisoning in Santa Ana without this funding. What is it about this grant that you and EPA believe is problematic enough to freeze this funding and put potentially 31,000 children at risk?
Senator, who is the grant applicant?
This is to the city of Santa Ana.
You have the biggest,
And are
you
you-
have the biggest
are you-
state, so
and
we're
are
going to have to
you-
go through every single list of the grant.
Well,
By the way, with that wind up, by the way, I understand that you were an aspiring fiction writer. I see why.
Oh, yeah. Well, I understand your view that you can cut half of the agency and it won't affect people's health or their water, their air. That to me is a big fiction, Mr. Zeldin.
You forgot about the fact of cleaning up
I have to
the
think,
LA
Mr.
wildfires.
Zeldin, I think, Mr. Zeldin,
President when I was
if
in San Diego.
if your children were
With the
drinking
Tijuana
water,
River sewage crisis,
if your
apparently
children
we're going
were
out on our
drinking
own for
water
that.
in Santa Ana, Mr. Zeldin, maybe you wouldn't be so cavalier about whether there was lead in their water. Maybe you would give a damn instead of coming in here and suggesting that any grant that takes lead out of the water must be waste, fraud, or abuse because
The
you
gentleman's
need
time has
because
expired.
you
Who said
need
that? The whole
the money
thing,
for a
everything
tax
you
cut
said
for rich people
your time. It's all
because
make-believe.
you're totally beholden to the oil industry.
The gentleman's time.
You could give a rat's ass about how much cancer
Because
your agency
you're trying to
causes.
destroy.
The
Impeach,
gentleman's
resist-
time has expired.
So Schiff is grilling EPA Administrator Zeldin like he's auditioning for a superhero movie. Zeldin, destroyer of agencies, slayer of grants, bringer of doom. You'd think the man single-handedly punched a hole in the ozone layer with his bare hands. Schiff goes on about how Zeldin has dismantled the agency more than all predecessors combined. Look, if 3 months of someone doing their job can undo decades of bureaucracy, maybe, just maybe, the system wasn't exactly running like a well-oiled machine in the first place. Just putting that out there. Then Schiff lists off diseases like he's reading the world's worst restaurant menu. More lung cancer. More bladder cancer. It's like he was one breath away from shouting, locusts, frogs, rivers of blood. Listen, nobody on the right wants dirty water or bad air. We just want agencies to spend money responsibly and not act like a vending machine that accepts tax dollars instead of quarters. There's a difference between protecting the environment and throwing taxpayer cash into it with chipper-labeled feel-good programs. Now, about that Santa Ana grant. Schiff says 31,000 children might be at risk of lead poisoning without this funding. Look, if there's legitimate lead contamination, of course communities should address it. But the idea that one frozen grant is a single thread holding civilization together? That's a stretch Armstrong couldn't make. Instead of automatically assuming bad faith, maybe ask whether the program was effective or duplicative, or if someone in City Hall was treating grant money like their personal snack fund. And let's talk about Schiff's jab about Zeldin being an aspiring fiction writer. Buddy, you just spent 10 minutes describing the future like it's an apocalyptic Mad Max sequel starring smog and sadness. If that's not fiction, I don't know what is. What really gets me is how Schiff talks like anyone who wants to reduce federal spending must secretly want children to drink motor oil and grow extra toes. That kind of thinking isn't helpful. Conservatives aren't anti-clean air. We're anti-waste. We're anti-bureaucracy. We're anti-dash, let's spend money because feelings. And the whole, you must be beholden to the oil industry bit? Classic. They always go there. You disagree with a Democrat, and suddenly you're being puppeteered by big oil, big coal, big gas, big hamburger, big furniture Polish, you name it. Maybe Zeldin just thinks the EPA shouldn't require 47 permits and a notarized letter from George Washington's ghost to build a shed. Look, Schiff's passion is real, no denying that. But passion without balance is how you spill your coffee, cry into a congressional microphone, and accuse someone of trying to personally give America cancer. We can protect the environment and expect accountability. We can want clean water without assuming every EPA cut is the harbinger of doom. It's not either slash or. And honestly, if Schiff spent half as much energy investigating government waste as he does performing dramatic monologues, the EPA would probably already be running smoother than a freshly waxed pickup. Anyway, folks, that's my take. If you want more reactions, more breakdowns, and more unapologetic common sense commentary, hit that subscribe button like it's a snooze button at 5 a.m. on a Monday. Smash that like button, drop a comment. Tell me what you think of Schiff's performance. And I'll see you in the next one. Stay patriotic, stay funny, and stay free. This is America Patriots, signing off.